So let's talk a little bit about logical operators. So logical operators are operators that enable you to combine logical expressions. And we've got three of them. The first one of them is the not operator, which is just exclamation point. The next one is the and operator, which is two ampersands. And the last one is the or operator, which is just two pipes. So there's some logic that follows from these operators. And these truth tables are something that you have seen if you have taken Philosophy 114 or CPE 100. But so if some expression is true and we apply the not operator to it, then that expression is just going to turn to false because something that's not true is false. And then similarly, if we have some expression that equates to false and we use the not operator on it, that expression will equate to true because something that's not false is true. Next, we have the and operator. So you can have two expressions with the and operator. And those expressions could be true and true. And in that case, both of the expressions are true. So everything is true. So when you and them together, you get a true result. But when one expression is true and the other expression is false, in either of the cases that you can see here, you're going to get false when you and the two expressions together. That's because if something's false and something's true, then the whole thing's false because there's a false premise going on. And then it follows from that if both of them are false, then you also get a false out. And then we have the or operator, which if you have two trues, then it's going to be true. But where this differs from the and operator is when either of your premises are true, then you get a true result. And then the only time you get a false result is when both of your premises are false. Because if something's true or false, then it can be true. Or false or true, then it can be true. Or then it's true. And when we have these, it tosses into our order of operations. So our first thing that has precedence with order of operations is going to be our unary operators, which is going to be like our not and turning something positive or negative. Second, we're going to have our multiplication and division, just like normal. Then addition and subtraction like normal. But then after that comes the relational and logical operators. So the relational operators, the greater than and less than and greater than and or equal to and less than or equal to go after addition and subtraction. And then equal to or not equal to go next. And then these next two are really important because and takes precedence over or. So if you have a bunch of things in a line that are ored and then at the end of it you have something anded to it, you need to make sure to put those ors in parentheses because this and will take precedence over that or. And then the final precedence is the assignment operator. So let us look at some examples of these different operators. For that, we will use trusty, dusty, sublime text pad. So we could have something, as we know, like 1 is less than 2, but we could say and 3 is less than 4. that would say true over here because 1 is less than 2, and true because 3 is less than 4. And then when you look over at your truth table here, you see true and true gives you true. So this will output true. But if we had something that was like, let's say, 2 is less than 1 and 3 is less than 4, this would equate to false, and this would equate to true, which if you look over here on your truth table, false and true equates to false. So this would be a false statement. Similarly, if we had something like 1 is less than 2 and 4 is less than 3, this would equate to true, and this would equate to false. So you would have a false, because when you look at your truth table, true and false gives you false. And lastly, for the AND case, if you had something like 2 is less than 1 and 4 is less than 3, you would get false and false, which would equate to false because false and false gives you false over here. Now let's look at the OR operator. You could have something like 1 is less than 2 or 3 is less than 4, which would be true, or true, which would be true. When you come over and look at your truth table for the OR operator, you get true or true is true. You can also have something like 2 is less than 1 or 3 is less than 4, which would equate to false or true. In this case, you have one true premise, so it follows that the OR condition is true. Similarly, you could have 1 is less than 2 or 4 is less than 3, and you would get true on this one, or false, which would equate to true, because when you look over here, the true or false gives you true. And then if you had something like 2 is less than 1 or 4 is less than 3, that would equate to false or false, which when you look over here at your truth table, you get false or false is false. And lastly, let's look at the NOT operator. So if you had something that was like false, and you said not false, so say you had some variable that is like a flag equal to false. If you said not false, or false equals not false, well, this would go to false equaling true. Similarly, or flag, sorry for that typo there. That should be flag, and flag equals true. But if you changed this over to being true, then when you said this not flag, flag would equal false. And that is all of the logical operators that we need to go over.